Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, subscribe to our channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and then I can deliver my best to your inbox on a daily basis. Every watch, every minute, right here on Watchbox Reviews. If you enjoy the watches, well, check out our website at thewatchbox.com, where you can see high-res imagery of our watches, all boxes, papers, and accessories included, plus full pricing for this and our entire collection of pre-owned timepieces. Thewatchbox.com is the largest single-source repository of pre-owned and vintage watches on the web. The watch on my wrist is the Journe Linesport Centigraphe Sport in titanium. Since 2014, the Linesport Centigraphe has been made in titanium, a somewhat different aesthetic than the prior aluminum watches. It's a little bit darker in its composition. A timepiece that has a little bit more visual heft, even as mass increases only a little bit from the prior 64 to 72 grams on this watch, with all links in place. It's an easy watch to wear, 42 millimeters across the round of the case, not including chronograph pusher crown or rubber bump stop on its flank. The watch is relatively compact across the wrist, only 51.7 millimeters, with a generous amount of articulation about its bracelet. It is slim by any measure, 11.4 millimeters thick with a domed profile. This is a sports watch that you can absolutely employ as a dress watch. It's also so light that you'll be shooting panicked glances at your wrist just to ensure that it's still there. And it is, thanks to a securely anchored Journe bracelet, double deployant. We'll talk a little bit about the bracelet that sets this watch apart from a standard Centigraphe, because Journe decided to channel Gerald Genta in measure with this watch, integrating the profile of the case, the lug, and the bracelet with a little bit of taper. It's more all of a piece in a sports watch mode than the more traditionally styled Centigraphe case and strap combination. There is a good amount of natural vulcanized rubber employed, as at just about all of the contact points on the case, on both sides, along the top of the bezel, as well as the underside of the bracelet, and even the clasp. Small amounts of rubber are used to avoid scratching or scuffing of the depositing to create that darkened titanium tone. The watch features plenty of broad channels between links to aerate the wrist on a hot day, as well as avoid pinching skin or pulling hair. And once more, memo to Patek Philippe, sizing screws on a premium watch, that's the only way to go. No pins and sleeves here, and you get an Journe double deployant clasp that offers better security against pinching your wrist than you'd get on a large single up and over, single fold deployant. And when buckled down, not only is it securely locked down, but it is also low in profile to avoid desk diving scars. Moving back to that fully integrated lug-in case form, you can see that the essential aesthetic of the Linesport dovetails with the aesthetic of the Centigraphe, which is to say you've got that sport style 42 millimeter case, and then you have the dial with its triple bezel held in place by bolts. It's a Journe style dial with a gorgeous use of grayscale as it transitions from white to anthracite. Elements both polished and matte. I can tell you that the entire dial is loomed. There will be a loom shot at the end of this video, so stay tuned. All of the registers feature sporty shocks of red, and you can see that the tachymeter scales of the standard Centigraphe have been removed. While that might be a little bit quirky for a sports-oriented timepiece, it does allow the registers to be a bit broader, breathe better, and frankly, be a bit more legible. You can see there's a counterweighted hand for each of the registers. You have your flying second that's able to measure 1/100th of a second, hence Centigraphe, the namesake of the watch. You have one dial that tracks 20-second intervals with a staggered track, and then you have a 10-minute dial, and that's it. The watch only measures intervals as large as 10 minutes. It's a bit quirky in that the crown in its neutral position does nothing. You pull it out one stop, now you can wind the watch. You pull it out another stop, and now you set the watch. Of course, you'll note that the composition of the dial is almost like a sporty play on the design language used on the standard Journe watches, especially the Centigraphe, right down to the fact that you're reminded, unavoidably, that Journe invented and made it. Now, rubber's also used to grace the crown and the pusher system. While it looks like a mono pusher, it's actually not. You can start it, stop it, and you can resume it without resetting. The rocker system is one of two patented elements in the watch, the other being the multiple trains used to drive the different facets of the watch, the time and the complication. More on that in a moment. Now you reset and you get a little bit of a show there. It's a wonderful spectacle on the wrist, but be advised, if you leave the chronograph running, no additional hazard to the watch, but you will reduce the power reserve from about 80 hours to 24 hours. Turn it over. Now let's get super close. Really drill into this movement and bring it into focus for our viewing pleasure. you're looking at the FP Journe manufacturer caliber 1506. 50 joules, manual wind, you've got that 80-hour power reserve by virtue of a barrel that is completely centralized. You'll note that the style of the movement plays off the barrel, as the circular Côte de Genève radiate out concentrically from the center, which features the barrel arbor in a pivot. You'll also note that the micro perlage is just visible beneath the base plate, and everything has been PVD darkened to create a more industrial, dare I say, more sporting aesthetic here. You'll also note the balance is both large with a high polar moment. It actually has an immense amount of mass to it by the standards of balances, to make up for the fact that it has a 21,600 vibration per hour beat rate, slightly lower than a modern 4 Hz, it's 3 Hz, but it also has a free-sprung architecture to make it robustly shock resistant. The reason the barrel is located centrally pertains to that second patent that I referred to earlier. You have separate trains driving off the barrel arbor that propel the chronograph, while the barrel itself, that is the gears at the edge of the barrel that you can see just underneath my finger, those actually drive the time of day. By driving the complication off a separate train than the one that powers the balance, you can activate the Centigraphe and lose no balance amplitude even as the chronograph is engaged. That's basically what JLC attempts to do with its 2 separate drivetrains in the Duomet, but with 2 drivetrains and 2 power sources, the JLC winds up being a lot thicker. This system, while it doesn't give you the same power reserve as the JLC, allows for a much thinner, more elegant and compact timepiece, and that is exactly what FP Journe prefers. In fact, he told me my Duomet chronograph is too thick. This is how he prefers his complicated chrono. The watch is immensely satisfying to wear, as the foudroyant gives you instant gratification when activated or reset. A watch whose appeal really transcends all watch nerd knowledge and esoterica. Show this thing to your friends at dinner, and whether they're into watches or not, they'll become your newest recruits the moment they see the Centigraphe Sport in titanium. You can see it, and you can make it yours right here on the watch box. And we're back with the FP Journe Centigraphe Sport in titanium. Titanium case, aluminum movement, and explosively luminescent dial. You can see this one by the light of day and make it your own on the watch box.